Today on the farm, it's time to plow some land. On our plows down here in the south, we run a drag. A lot of the country doesn't run a drag on the plows, but down here in the southeast, we run a drag. I call it a rake because that's what it is, but the technical name by the manufacturer is a drag. And what this drag does, this rake does, you want these fingers on it just barely contacting the ground. It's not running deep at all, they're just barely touching the ground. You don't want it compacting this freshly tilled soil. But what they're doing is, we have these shields. So we have these big slick chunks of clay coming through here, and those fingers will come through there and just break them. And so we're breaking up stuff like that, making it look smoother like this. We don't want a bunch of shiny shields. This pass here didn't do as good. I had to throw all my dirt one way, then change direction I'm throwing it, because after several years, or 10, 12 years of throwing it one way, the road has got built up a little bigger, so we had to run it one way, throwing it away from the road and get turned around. So we didn't have everything set just right here. And you see we have a lot of shields once we worked out the difference here between the first round and how we're gonna set it. The first round, when we're throwing it that way, looks good, but just this one round, because I had to ride on this hump, create a lot of shields. So we're gonna have a little issue on that round, but the rest of the field should look like it does on either side of that round, where we have very little shielding. It's doing a good job. We don't want this, because these right here will dry. Right now the ground's really moist and they'll break easy, but once this clay dries, all these shields will be just as hard as the bricks on the side of your house. You'll see I got the plow buried pretty deep down there. It goes way on down there. We're trying to run about 12 inches deep, about a foot deep, and that's not a foot from this soft till. This has been fluffed up. It's a foot from the deep, from the original ground depth. That's the goal. We're trying to keep it that deep and keep it the same depth on the back as it is on the front. So we have we'll adjust these front plows by raising and lowering our lift. We want a little bit of weight on these wheels here, but not much, because we put too much weight on these wheels, then we're taking weight off of the tractor tires that are actually doing the pulling. We want as much weight on these tires as possible so we can maintain our road, not get wobbled, get off the line. But we'll put a little bit of pressure on these wheels, and then I'll come back here to the back, and I can put pressure on and off this wheel with this turnbuckle to get the back set just right. So I'll set my back height with this wheel and the front of the height with the lift on the tractor. You'll notice also I didn't bring my wheels in. My wheels are still on spacers. There's a wide gap here, row spacing, so you can use it once the crop is out here. But the trade-off is during tillage, a lot of people take that spacer out and run the tire in close. And so right now, my outside tires are above the hole here. They're above the furrow. And look, they're not getting any traction. Only traction I'm getting is from my inside wheels. And so on this side, I got 2 wheels pulling, but on this side, I got 4 wheels pulling. And so that does make the tractor want to kind of go to one way just a little bit, because it has 4 times as much traction, or twice as much traction on this side as it does on that side. smoked oysters and saltine crackers for breakfast. Man, I feel sorry for you. In the southeast, we call this bottom plowing. The rest of the country calls it moldboard plowing. The rest of the country also plows a head of corn, but in the southeast, we only plow a head of peanuts. We don't typically bottom plow or moldboard plow a head of corn. We will do a deep subsoiling a head of corn, but we will only plow what we call breaking ground or turning land. We only do that ahead of peanuts. The reason we plow ahead of peanuts is because it's multiple pronged, but if you want to lift those peanuts out of the ground, peanuts are a root crop. It is very important to bottom plow. There are some scenarios, I'm not going to say everywhere, there are some scenarios, because nothing is 100% with farming. There's no practice works on 100% of farms, 100% of fields, 100% of crops. Every crop and field is unique. In most instances, if you want to lift the peanuts out of the ground once they are made, you got to run a plow before they're planted. If you don't run a plow, the process of lifting them will pull them off the vine. The vines stretch out, the peanuts are underground on those vines, and when you lift the plow, when you lift the vines up, you will actually tear the peanuts off if you haven't fluffed the ground up with a plow. This is standard practice across the whole peanut industry. Another thing that plowing does is I'm flipping the ground over. I'm taking the ground that's at the top and I'm putting it a foot deep. I'm taking the ground that's a foot deep and I'm putting it at the top. So when I switch places with those ground, all the weed seeds are at the surface. They're now a foot deep. They're not going to come up. They can't germinate from 12 inches down and make it to the top. They'll run out of energy a long time before they get to the sun and be able to make photosynthesis, which is where they get the energy. So if they germinate down there a foot deep, they will germinate, grow a couple of inches, and die and never make it to the surface. So plowing reduces weed control. It reduces weeds, weed seed load. Also, nematodes the nematode issue is helped out by plowing. If we plow ahead of peanuts is a root crop, so nematodes is an issue you deal with it because it's a root crop. So if we plow, we can cut down the pressure that nematodes put on our peanuts. This portion of the field is doing optimal. This is what we want to see right here. Not a lot of shielding. We're getting a good depth, really good depth. Ground's nice and smooth behind the tractor. We don't want a big hump on one side. We want to leave it smooth and flat out here, because we're going to come behind this with a field cultivator to incorporate yellow chemical, and we want smooth ahead of that field cultivator. This is leaving it pretty flat, pretty smooth, not a lot of shielding. This is optimal. And you notice how soft this ground is out here after it's gone through that plow. Again, you can see the shields before they're making it to the rake, and the rake is actually doing a great job eliminating them. People from time to time ask why I'm plowing already plowed ground. This ground out here is not already plowed. I have subsoiled the cornfield. A subsoiler has a straight shank or a slightly curved shank that runs about 18 inches deep. I have run that implement out here at an angle, and so it's not the same way I'm running. I run at an angle to the way I'm running now, and I have ripped the ground to 18 inches deep. Now I do that ahead of the plow so that I can pull the plow the proper depth. If I didn't subsoil this clay ahead of this plow, then I wouldn't be able to pull this plow deep enough to justify running it. So if I subsoil the field to 18 inches, then I can come out here with the plow and I can flip over the top foot of ground. If I did not subsoil it, I would be lucky to flip over the top 8 inches, and that would kind of defeat the purpose of plowing. So in order to get a good plowing done, it is important on this dirt to do a deep subsoiling ahead of the plow. You'll also notice there's a lot of corn, stubble corn stalks out there still on the ground where I've subsoiled, but behind where I've plowed there are none. All that organic material is being buried a foot in the ground, so the entire foot, the entire top 12 inches of this ground is going to be have nutrients in it. All these nutrients from the rotting corn stubble is going to be a foot deep, and so we're incorporating nutrients at a bigger zone. If you didn't plow, your nutrients would all be right there at the very top, and so plowing actually has a larger zone of high nutrients and a softer bed for the seed. We got the lights on in here and the lights on the outside. We're getting low on crackers. So I reckon that's about time for me and Mercer to head to the house and find some supper. I thank all y'all for watching today, and I hope to see you next time.